Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to review on an episode of Different Strokes. This is like a very new thing to my channel and I want to see if y'all like this kind of content too or not. But we are going to be reviewing a very sensitive topic, so I might put a warning at the beginning of this video. So I don't know how y'all feel about that, but we're going to be looking at The Bicycle Man. It's a two-parter, so this going to be a while, so bear with me. If you don't know what Different Strokes is, two black kids from Harlem, Arnold Jackson and his older brother Willis Jackson, are welcomed to the new wealthy family New York businessman Philip Drummond and his daughter Kimberly Drummond as they face various life lessons as a family. This premiered on November 3rd, 1978. Conrad Baines, who plays Mr. Drummond on the show, begins the episode by explaining that this episode will be the first of a two-part series that will focus on a very special and sensitive topic, and he encourages families to discuss this issue that is prevented from happening. As the episode begins, the Drummonds and the Jacksons have been renting bikes Horton's bicycle shop and are friends with the fun-loving, ambiguous Mr. Horton. Mr. Drummond pays for the bike that he used. Arnold expresses his desire to have his own bike, and Mr. Horton has a sale on an attractive but safe bike. Mr. Drummond disagrees because he says there is a lot of strange people out there and he does not want Arnold right there by himself. Arnold says, well, maybe I can get a chauffeur and he can ride behind with me.
In the middle, Mr. Drummond, but this would be a great time to buy a bicycle. And I can make you a terrific deal on this little red one right here. In fact, it's...
Mr. Drummond ultimately agrees to get Arnold a bike for his birthday. Mr. Horton makes a special deal with Arnold. If Arnold passes out flyers advertising his sales, Mr. Horton will give him a handlebar radio to go with the bike, free of charge. As it's the next day and Arnold's passing out flyers with the help of Dudley, who he gathers all the kids around, letting them know.
Now, Mr. Horton is having a terrific sale over at the bicycle shop. Now, you can have a bicycle that's fancier and better than the one your best friend has.
But in return, Dudley wants a radio for his own bike for helping out Arnold. Arnold then returns to the bike shop as Horton is escorting another boy out, instructing him to be discreet about their visit.
Hi, Mr. Horton.
Hi, Arnold.
As a reward for Arnold collecting flyers, Horton, being pleased, brings Arnold to his apartment behind the bike shop to make him ice cream sundae to celebrate his progress. As Mr. Horton is preparing the sundaes, Arnold mentions Dudley wanting in on their deal. And Mr. Horton says that if Arnold describes Dudley as awesome and fun he is to bring Dudley into the shop to discuss it further. Mr. Horton explains how it's a shame that Arnold has to wait to get that bike until his birthday. Horton also agrees to allow Arnold to ride that bike before he gets it for his birthday and to keep this meeting in a secret from his father. Strangely, Horton's acting a little too friendly with Arnold. Arnold questioning why he has to keep it from his dad, but Arnold agrees to it, knowing that he really wants to ride that bike, so he keeps it a secret from his dad. Arnold comes home and Mr. Drummond questions why is he home so late for dinner. Arnold says he was at Dudley's house, but Mr. Drummond says that's impossible because Dudley calls saying he was over here. Arnold says, oh, he was strolling up Park Avenue by the pet shop, had some soft pretzels along the way, which is enough to keep anyone from questioning his tardiness or lack of appetite. As we see Mr. Horton placing dirty magazines so the boys will find it. But the next day, Arnold and Dudley return to the bike shop, but Arnold is dismayed that he cannot ride his bike as it's raining outside. Mr. Horton invites the two boys instead to have a fun day at his apartment with some pizza, video games, and comic books. As the boys look through the comic books, they find a very dirty magazine hidden under the pile secretly by Horton himself, and find themselves looking through it at pictures of naked women. When Mr. Horton walks through the door, he asks the boys what is going on, but they both deny that there's nothing wrong and they've been acting innocent and sitting in the couch the entire time. But Mr. Horton catches them in the act and pulls out a magazine, and he assures them that there's nothing wrong with looking at a human body, so they could look at naked women. Mr. Horton offers the boys some wine, saying, has Dudley had some? Dudley saying that he has had it once with his dad, but the boys are very hesitant to drink wine. Mr. Horton claims that their business partnership is a celebration enough to justify it. Dudley convinces him to drink wine with them, but Arnold is very hesitant, saying, well, he cannot let his friends drink alone. Mr. Horton hands
To our new partnership.
Down the hatch.
Down the hatch.
But this takes a weirder turn. Mr. Horton talks further about his nudity and even shows the boys pictures of himself and some other young boys when skinny dipping at this local lake.
Full of fun, do you? Look, everybody's laughing and horsing around, having a good time. See, we had a great old time that day.
Looks like fun to me.
Yeah.
Mr. Horton suggests that they should play a game and take pictures. As the boys agreed, Dudley says, what kind of pictures are they going to take? He suggests that they're going to do Tarzan.
Hey, stay right there. Now pretend like it's got you in its clutches.
He goes on to say to Dudley that Tarzan never wears a shirt and that he suggests that Dudley removes his shirt to play the role.
Pictures, and we're going to have another little sip of wine, and we're going to take some more pictures. And strike a pose for me.
As the episode comes to a close, Horton takes pictures of him and Arnold posing, and he claims that he has even more plans for them in store. And that was the end of this part 1. And throughout this credit scene, we still see Mr. Horton taking pictures of the boys as it fades to black.
World don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you?
At the bike shop, Horton continues to take pictures with Arnold and a shirtless Dudley. And then he suggests that they should have more wine to celebrate the photo shoot. Mr. Horton suggests that they should probably have some gum or breath mint so that their folks won't smell it on them and blame it on him. Arnold agrees as he takes out some gum for the boys to put on their breath. As the three starts to play Three Stooges, jumping on Mr. Horton's bed, they hear a customer. Mr. Horton excuses him for a minute and telling the boys to stay right there and do not make a sound. Turns out it was Mr. Drummond coming to finalize the purchase on the bike for Arnold's birthday.
If you don't mind, you sign that for me. I'll fill it out later. And I don't want to hold you up,
Oh, no, you're not holding me up. Go ahead, fill it out.
However, Arnold and Dudley also notice Mr. Drummond and not to stick around, risk being caught. So they grab their clothes and flee. Horton tries to hurry him along, but Mr. Drummond senses he's being rushed. Horton's explanation is that he has to lock up and that he's got a pizza in the oven, which is enough for Mr. Drummond to leave without any further questions. Arnold quietly comes to his house, hoping no one will see him, but Kimberly and Willis notice, and they ask him what he's doing and scare him, causing Arnold to say,
I said don't ever sneak up behind me like that. Kids can have heart attacks too, you know.
Willis starts asking why is he chewing a big old piece of gum, causing Arnold to say, well, I have a big mouth. Kimberly says, well, we know that.
Spearmint Muscatel.
But Willis and Kimberly can smell the wine on his breath.
It's only wine. What do you mean only wine? What are you doing drinking any kind of alcohol?
Arnold claims he had a little celebration with Dudley's family, and then Willis said, what kind of celebration? Arnold says that Dudley's hamsters has hamlets. Although his siblings are skeptical about this, they agree not to tell Mr. Drummond as Arnold promises not to drink underage again. The next day, the boys return to the bike shop. However, Arnold's growing discomfort about sneaking around and keeping secrets, but he does agree later on to stick around upon Horton's lure of cartoons to watch with
Like with 3 layers and whipped cream and gooey chocolate on top.
That's it.
I guess I could always eat and run.
However, Mr. Horton shows them an X-rated cartoon called Murphy the Mouse, which shocks Arnold so much that he leaves. Dudley, who's enjoying the cartoon, opts to remain behind, and Mr. Horton tells Dudley that they'll play a game in the bathtub later on, implying something more sinister is going to happen. Back at the Drummond apartment, Dudley's father stops by.
Look, forgive me for barging in on you like this, but I thought it was something we should discuss in person. It's about my son.
Dudley's dad tells Mr. Drummond that he is not comfortable with his son drinking wine, causing Mr. Drummond to be shocked. He tells Mr. Drummond that he had smelled wine on Dudley's breath and questions if Drummond gave it to him. Kimberly and Willis are forced to reveal their earlier smelling wine on Arnold's breath.
I hate to be a snitch, but I think you're right, Willis.
Tell me what, Willis?
Well, yesterday Arnold came home with wine on his breath, and he said Mr. Ramsey gave it to him.
Me? Now, why didn't you two tell me that before?
Oh, Daddy, Arnold looked so guilty, and he promised he'd never do it again, so we let it go.
Mr. Ramsey assures Mr. Drummond that he would never give wine to Arnold. Mr. Drummond and Mr. Ramsey must think that Arnold and Dudley are experimenting with alcohol, so the two fathers agree to talk to them later on, just as Dudley's father leaves. As Arnold returns home, Mr. Drummond confronts Arnold about him drinking wine, questioning Arnold, saying, "What was Dudley's dad doing here?" Mr. Drummond says, "Well, he told me something very interesting that happened." And he demands an explanation. He wants the beginning to the end. Arnold is hesitant, but finally confesses that Mr. Horton at the bike shop gave him wine with some pizza, plus with everything else that went on. Mr. Drummond to realize what is going on, and he decided he's going to have a little talk with Mr. Horton. But Arnold mentions that Dudley is still at the bike. Mr. Drummond springs into action, calling both the police and Dudley's father before they head out to go to the bike shop to confront Mr. Horton. At the bike shop, Horton is starting to close the shop as Drummond and his friend Det Simpson arrive with another cop, and they demand to know where Dudley is and raid his apartment. Det Simpson finds Dudley in the bathroom, shirtless and scared. He tells them that he was given a pill for a headache. As Dudley's father arrives on the scene, Det Simpson asks Dudley what happened before they came in. Dudley is ashamed, but he confesses that he was enjoying himself at first, but then Mr. Horton...
The Horton. He tried to touch me.
His father reassures Dudley that he is not fault for any of this and he will not be punished. And he tells his son that he loves him very much as they both hug it out. At the Drummond apartment, Kimberly asks how is Dudley doing. Mr. Drummond claims that he's slightly traumatized from his experience, but Det Simpson said he'll recover. Det Simpson also adds on that most parents will blame the children for what happened to them. Mr. Drummond is very disgusted. Willis asks what's going to be happening with Mr. Horton, and he will be in jail for attempted SA, but police found significant evidence against him, including the photos from earlier. Det Simpson told Mr. Drummond it's a good thing that they called him, because if Mr. Drummond went out to confront Mr. Horton by himself, he would have gotten rid of evidence, and he would get off all scot-free, because mostly when parents confront the SAs by themselves, they get rid of the evidence and they get off free.
For years, he seemed like such a nice man.
W. Simpson says that that's the thing with child Emmers. That there's one who would love to touch children, and there's one who would never harmly touch a child, and that could leave them traumatized. Willis asks, I didn't know Mr. Horton was fruity, Deputy Simpson. But he says he's not gay. That's the common thing about child Emmers, that they're only interested in little boys and little girls, and they're not interested in adults. Arnold is somewhat disillusioned about the whole experience himself, questioning if he can ever trust adults again. Mr. Drummond and Willis advises him on that some of red flags indicate if someone shouldn't be trusted, including requesting someone to stick around or keep secrets, coming on strong, manipulating with gifts, and mostly touching someone where they don't want to be touched. We'll ask if he can still get the bike for his birthday. Mr. Drummond also promises Arnold that he will still get both the bike and the radio for his birthday. Arnold says that even though he didn't like what Mr. Horton tried to do with him in the bike shop, is that hugs and kisses are still okay. As Arnold and Mr. Drummond hug it out like father and son. And that was the end of the episode, but before I end this video, I have some reviews I want to do on this episode. What I like about this episode, it shows you that no matter how nice a person is that you're close to, you never know what their true intentions are, and you gotta be careful around that. And the other thing is, I love how Dudley didn't blame his son for what has happened to him, because parents would blame the kid and not the grown-up. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and before we head off, there's something Mr. Drummond has to say after this episode was over.
If you know of a problem with child sexual abuse, please contact your local law enforcement or social service agency.